What if the legendary slave who almost broke the Roman Empire wasn't fighting for freedom at all, but for something much more personal and much darker? He was a gladiator. He was trained to die for the amusement of others. Yet for 2 terrifying years, this one man held the fate of the Roman Republic in his hands. He led an army of the desperate and the damned. He defeated Roman legions. He marched his followers up and down the Italian peninsula. He exposed the rot at the heart of the world's greatest power. Rome, the conqueror of nations, the master of the Mediterranean. It was brought to the brink of collapse not by a foreign king, not by a rival general, but by a man it had stripped of everything but his will to fight. This is the story of how one gladiator shook Rome to its very core. The Third Servile War was more than just a slave revolt. It was a wildfire. It threatened to burn down the entire social order that Rome had built. The Republic was a machine fueled by conquest, maintained by the brutal institution of slavery. Millions of men, women, children toiled without hope, their lives belonging to their masters. He gave them that hope. He showed them that their chains could be broken. He proved that a slave with a sword was the equal of a Roman soldier. His rebellion was a nightmare made real for the elite. They saw their world teetering on the edge of a bloody abyss. Roman commanders who had won glory abroad were sent to crush him and returned in disgrace. Their legions scattered, their standards captured. The Senate panicked. His name was Spartacus. This is the true story of Spartacus, separated from the Hollywood myth. Hello dear friends, welcome to the Rise and Relic. Spartacus was a Thracian. He was born around 111 BC, in a rugged land north of Greece, a place known for its fierce warriors and independent tribes. They were horsemen, foot soldiers, often serving as mercenaries, tough, resilient, valuing martial prowess above all else. This was the world that shaped Spartacus. He learned to fight from a young age, understood the hills and guerrilla tactics. He came from a culture that did not bow easily to outside authority, a trait that would seal his fate. Many historians believe he first met Rome not as an enemy, but as a soldier, likely an auxiliary in the Roman army. He learned Roman discipline and tactics. He saw their strengths and their weaknesses. The records are thin. At some point he deserted, or was captured in a later conflict. His status changed catastrophically. He became a prisoner of war. Rome had little sentiment for the defeated. He was stripped of his rights, his freedom, and his name. No longer a soldier or Thracian warrior, he was property, sold into the vast machinery of Roman slavery. His journey as a slave ended in Capua, a wealthy city famed for its amphitheaters and appetite for spectacle. He was sold to Lentulus Batiatus, who ran a gladiator school. Batiatus saw in the strong, defiant Thracian the raw material for a fighter who could earn him a fortune. Spartacus was destined for the sands, to fight and kill for Roman crowds. Given a new identity, a new purpose, to die beautifully for his master's profit. But Batiatus misjudged his man. He was not training a beast of burden, he was forging a rebel leader. Well, life in the ludus was brutal. Prisoners locked in cells, subjected to relentlessly harsh training. They drilled with wooden swords, lifted heavy weights, practiced deadly combat under watchful trainers. Their diet was controlled to build strength. Valuable property, invested in, yet their lives were not their own. Freedom was a distant memory. Men from all corners of Rome, Gauls, Germans, Thracians, criminals, prisoners of war, defiant slaves, formed a strange brotherhood in the shadow of the arena. The gladiator was a paradox, the lowest of the low, and a celebrity, a gilded cage. For every man freed by the Rudes, countless others died on the sand. This knowledge bred a desperate, fatalistic courage. In 73 BC, the breaking point was reached. About 200 plotted to break out. A betrayal exposed them, but too late to stop them. Around 70 men, Spartacus, Crassus, and Onesimus, fought their way out. Their first weapons were kitchen knives, cleavers, and cooking spits. They overwhelmed their guards and fled Capua. On the road, they seized a wagon of arms bound for another arena. Armed and free, they retreated to Mount Vesuvius above the bay. The rebellion had begun. From their makeshift fortress, they waged a war of survival. A tiny spark, dangerous. News spread like wildfire. Slaves abandoned their masters and flocked to the mountain. Rural slaves, shepherds, farmhands, men and women yearning for freedom, swelled their ranks. The 70 became hundreds, and soon thousands. Rome was slow to react. Praetor Gaius Claudius Glaber blocked the only known path and planned to starve them out. Spartacus saw wild vines on the far side, had his men weave ropes, and rappelled down the cliffs at night, bypassing the blockade. They circled and fell on Glaber's camp from behind, routing the Romans, overrunning the camp, seizing weapons. Rome reeled. Publius Varinius came, and was outmaneuvered in skirmishes, his horse and symbols of power captured. By winter 73 BC, the rebel army was tens of thousands, a disciplined, well-armed force controlling much of southern Italy. With numbers swelling to about 70,000, men, women, and children, the army became a mobile nation. Spartacus's goal was pragmatic, not to conquer Rome, but to escape north beyond the Alps. Cross the mountains, then disperse, Gauls to Gaul, Germans to Germania, Thracians to Thrace. In 72 BC, Rome sent consuls Gellius and Lentulus, each with 2 legions to trap Spartacus. Spartacus beat Lentulus in the Apennines, then turned and defeated Gellius. The consular armies were shattered. The path north lay open. Near modern Modena, a fatal division emerged. Crassus, with roughly 30,000, rejected escape, seeking vengeance and plunder. Breaking from Spartacus, Crassus was caught near Mount Garganus by Gellius and destroyed. Crassus fell. Spartacus, weakened, still defeated remaining consular forces and the governor near Mutina. The Alps were clear, freedom within grasp. But then, for reasons debated, Spartacus turned south. Perhaps men refused to leave, perhaps plunder, perhaps to avenge Crassus. Whatever the cause, turning south meant fighting on Rome's terms, a war they could not ultimately win. The march south spread fear and chaos. The road to the capital seemed open, the Republic reeled. Spartacus aimed to ferry the army to Sicily, ripe with slaves and revolt history, to fight Rome indefinitely from a strong base. He struck a deal with Cilician pirates, paying in gold and silver, the treasures of his campaign, for transport across the strait. The ships never came. Betrayed, perhaps bribed by Rome or avoiding its wrath, the pirates took the gold and vanished. Trapped in Bruttium, Italy's toe, escape cut off, the sea promised salvation but became a wall, and Rome closed in. With consuls defeated, the Senate turned to Marcus Licinius Crassus, the wealthiest man in Rome, hungry for military glory. Real estate, silver mines, profiting in civil wars, ambitious, ruthless, and ready. He volunteered to fund the war himself. The Senate granted him supreme command. He raised 6 new legions, restored order to battered remnants, and focused on one thing: discipline. After a forbidden engagement lost to Spartacus, Crassus revived a horrifying punishment: decimation. Every 10th man by lot. The survivors clubbed their comrades to death. The message: Fear your commander more than the enemy. Shocking, but effective. His legions became disciplined, obedient, hardened. Not a brilliant stroke, but logistics, engineering, and relentless pressure. He advanced carefully, shadowing Spartacus, striking only with advantage. He cut off supplies, wore them down with skirmishes, and moved to corner them. The brilliant rebel campaign dimmed. Now they were prey, hunted by an implacable predator backed by Rome's resources. In Brutium's rugged terrain, with sea at their backs, Crassus prepared the trap. The endgame began. He would build a wall across the toe of Italy and seal Spartacus in. The war turned grimmer. Rome would not be outmaneuvered again. Across a 35-mile span, Crassus dug a deep ditch and raised a wall of earth and timber, sealing the rebels from Italy. The winter of 72 to 71 BC was harsh. Penned in, tens of thousands began to starve. Morale plummeted. On a dark, snowy night, Spartacus ordered a desperate breach. Fill the ditch with earth, wood, bodies of prisoners, and cattle. Under the storm's cover, a portion surged across, breaking through. Costly partial success. Only about 1/3 escaped with Spartacus. The rest were hunted down, fractured and bleeding. Divisions persisted. Gannicus and Castus led a contingent away, soon surrounded and annihilated by Crassus. The Senate recalled Pompey from Spain and Lucullus from Thrace. Crassus feared losing the glory and forced a decisive battle. The final confrontation came in 71 BC near the headwaters of the Sila River in southern Italy. As battle began, Spartacus drew his sword and killed his horse. "If we win, I'll take the enemies. If we lose, I won't need one." The fighting was savage. Rebels hurled themselves at disciplined Roman lines, stabbing swords, splintering shields. Spartacus fought at the front, trying to cut straight to Crassus. He cut down 2 centurions, but the ranks were too deep. Wounded in the thigh by a spear, he fought from the ground, shield up, sword lashing, until overwhelmed and cut down. He fell, lost in the melee. His body was never identified, denied a hero's burial, transformed into legend. The army disintegrated. Pompey met 5,000 fugitives from the north and exterminated them, boasting he'd plucked the war by its roots. Crassus ensured the price was remembered. 6,000 prisoners crucified along the Appian Way from Capua to Rome. The crucifixions were meant to be the final word. For a time, it worked. The memory of Spartacus was suppressed. Roman historians painted him a brigand, a bloody footnote. Yet they could not erase what he revealed: Rome's fragility. Across centuries, his story resurfaced in times of upheaval, resurrected as a hero by those fighting oppression. From Caribbean slave revolts to European peasant uprisings, his defiance became a blueprint. Voltaire wrote of him. Marx called him the most splendid fellow in ancient history. Movements took his name, the Spartacus League. Novels, plays, ballets, each recast his struggle. Spartacus became a myth. His life is courage, leadership, and tragedy, a reminder that victors write history and the oppressed are silenced. For more untold stories from history, make sure you subscribe to Rise and Relic and hit the bell so you never miss an upload.